listeners, welcome back this week to the Forcecast.
Fellow listeners?
Yeah.
We're not listening. We're the ones speaking.
We speak and listen. We listen to each other.
I just don't think that's what it refers to, but alright.
Alright. We are your anchors, Morgan.
And Austin.
And welcome. We got some interesting stuff lined up for today, but before we go ahead, we're going to start with our This Week in Star Wars and Lord of the Rings history. I honestly don't really have anything for Lord of the Rings history, at least not anything worth mentioning. So we're just going to bypass that and go straight to Star Wars history with Austin. Take it away.
We actually have a lot in the next 7 days. Today, May 16th, 2014, was when principal photography began for The Force Awakens. I believe that was in Tunisia, filming on Jakku. Let's see. On tomorrow, May 17th, 2017, so actually, I think the most recent thing on this list, Rogue One wins Movie of the Year at the MTV Movie and TV Awards.
Woo!
Good for them. Rogue One was amazing. And then, let's see, May 19th, in 1999, was the release of The Phantom Menace. Actually, the first time Phantom Menace was released. It made a lot of money, let's just say that. Let's see, May 20th, 1982, principal photography for Return of the Jedi actually wraps.
Okay.
On schedule and on budget, it says, with the speeder bike scene in California. And then Empire Strikes Back, May 21st, 1980, begins its 70mm release in 127 U.S. theaters, and this has broke 125 house records. So out of 127 theaters, it broke records for 125 of those.
Wow, that's fantastic.
For a good reason. It's The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, see, that's probably the most popular of all the Star Wars.
Arguably the best. And May 22nd, 2014, Gareth Edwards was announced as the director for Rogue One. Good for him, because he was amazing, and I think he should direct future movies, because Rogue One is a masterpiece. And that's really all we got in this week, but that's quite a bit of stuff in the week of Star Wars history.
Yeah, that's still quite a bit.
Probably stuff I'm missing, but they don't include everything on there. It's awesome, though, that they have a thing where it can literally be every day in history that something at least happened, even if it's the most mundane thing, which I often skip over because some of it is just not that important or interesting. Alright, so we start with media news this week. If I remember correctly, I do believe Endgame has broken Avatar's record. I've only seen one post on it, though, so I can't tell if it's true or not.
I'm gonna take it.
I'll take it. I mean, if it hasn't, it's gonna.
Yeah, like, it's gonna happen no matter what.
Let me see if anything in the news says anything.
Endgame at the top.
Let's see here. Oh, no, we don't want to talk about that.
What now? Oh.
Don't worry about it. I'm going to see if there's anything saying that Endgame is beating it.
See, I thought I saw something at one point.
I saw one thing. I mean, even if it hasn't, it's bound to break it here in a couple of weeks because of the fact that, well, it's making crap ton of money really fast.
Yeah.
And Avatar, the amount of money Avatar made was over its entire run in theaters.
Oh, yeah.
So it's undoubtedly going to break it. Scrolling. Yeah, I can't find anything confirming it. But it's bound to happen, let's be honest.
So, supposedly Endgame's already broken Avatar's record. Hallelujah.
Yeah, nothing on it. Movie.
We'll keep an eye out, and if any of you ever see anything confirming it, let us know. Also, this week there was the release of the teaser trailer for the new Maleficent movie coming out.
We don't need.
I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, I don't really know what the heck it's supposed to be.
I mean, I kind of thought, okay, I liked the first Maleficent movie. It was pretty good. It's getting a sequel. Okay, you know. I kind of thought the first one was fine on its own, but I was like, okay, it's getting a sequel.
It looks
That's
like
cool.
she's the bad guy again, and the whole point of the movie was like a retelling where she's not really the bad guy. She's just kind of misunderstood.
I was gonna say,
she's like Loki.
I was gonna say, is she?
Thingies and she's misunderstood and wears black and green.
Yeah, black and green.
So she's just Loki.
Are they gonna pull an Endgame and like do some sort of time travel thing and go back, make it to where she never turned good?
It doesn't look like it's time travel related.
I can't tell what it's supposed to be, but it's almost like they're undoing everything from the first one. I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah, it looks interesting. I don't know why.
And what was with that weird outfit at the end?
change it up. I don't know.
She flapped over her wings, and I went, "What the?"
It looked a little...
A little risque for Maleficent.
A little Bayonetta, actually.
Yeah, a little Bayonetta. But I'm like, this is from a time where they pretty much like were fully clothed.
No, it's not from a time. It's a fantasy.
Yeah, but the Maleficent in the original was completely clothed head to toe.
Yeah, and this is a reimagining, so they can do whatever the heck they want. These are not period pieces; they're fantasy stories. It's like Mom saying Game of Thrones is a period piece. It's not a period piece.
Mom says that?
Yes. Because apparently people are mad that the guys are now in charge again, because it's no longer a feminist show because the women were once in charge.
I'm pretty sure it never actually was.
Yeah, I don't either. And my mom,
you had the one character, Daenerys, who was in charge.
Well,
That's it.
There was a woman who was a queen at one point, but I don't know the show. But yeah, people were saying, but my mom's saying it's a period piece. I'm like, it's not a period piece. It's a fantasy world. Like
it would be a period piece if it actually took place in a real place.
And didn't feature dragons or magic or an entirely separate. It's not a period piece. It's a fantasy genre. It's a fantasy book. But we're not going to talk about Game of Thrones today because we don't watch it or read it or care about it or even like it. So.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're not sure about the Maleficent thing. We don't really have that much in the news this week. Not a really whole lot.
Yeah, not a whole lot's really come out. There's been a couple more celebrities that have passed away, but they're a little before our time, and so we don't really know them. But Doris Day and Tim Conway were the ones that passed away this week. I never saw anything with either of them, but still, may they rest in peace. Mm-hmm. I heard they're pretty legendary actors, really. Anyway, on to our topic this week. This is going to be a little more of an opinionated episode than normal.
Yeah, this is an opinion piece, so if you disagree, that's fine. Just let's be civilized.
Yeah, be nice about it. Just be wary. But we are going to discuss the worst movies that we pretty much have ever seen. And it's quite a list that we have compilated.
We've got a decent list. And there are reasons for why we like or don't like some, or why we don't like. They're all of our worst or least favorite movies.
And some are legitimately bad.
Like, some of these are just, like, society has universally accepted these. It's just the horrible.
At least we hope, anyway. I'm sure there's some crazies out there that actually like some of the legit bad movies, but... Anyway, so we're going to go through our list and discuss why we think certain movies are some of the worst that we've seen. Mm-hmm. And again, our opinion, if you don't agree, you may voice it, but please be nice. Yeah. And your comments will be deleted if they are rude.
And we will be nice as well.
Yeah, we'll be nice.
We may not understand if people like these movies, but we will try to be nice.
Yeah, we may think you're crazy, but you may think we're crazy as well, so it goes two ways. Anyway, so the first ones that we pretty much can think of any time.
These are the worst of the worst movies ever made.
Yeah, these are legit bad movies.
So bad, most people have never even heard of them.
So first, pretty much one of the worst ones that we've ever seen is Birdemic.
Shock and terror.
That was in what, 2010?
2012.
Oh, jeez.
When it was filmed.
2012.
It was a very low budget, like, one-person crew movie. Literally, it was one guy doing everything, which is fine, but you can make a good movie even if you just...
It's blatantly low budget.
It's as if a Japanese immigrant remade Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, which is exactly what it is. It is. That's exactly
I know. That's just an interesting way to put it.
It's as if a Japanese immigrant who doesn't speak any English remade Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. That's literally what it is, with the crappiest visual effects ever.
Not just that, but the acting is legitimately terrible.
And the acting, the writing, everything in it is horrible. Like
editing.
It's just poorly. Oh, everything about it. Like, every facet of storytelling in cinema that could go wrong goes wrong in this film.
There's literally parts in the movie where you can tell they messed up their lines and they just keep going.
Keep rolling.
The only reason we know about this is because we watched it with Riff Tracks, whom we have mentioned in previous episodes.
We probably mentioned Birdemic in that too.
But that's the only thing that makes it tolerable, is because they make fun of how absolutely terrible this movie is.
The only it's called Birdemic: Shock and Terror.
There's nothing shocking about it.
No, the only shock is that you will go into shock from watching it. We laughed out of shock. Like, we just laughed. We were so dumbfounded by how terrible it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was... Like,
and unfortunately, we probably have some family members that hate us for showing them that movie.
Oh, no, they love us even more.
Well, I don't know about Jason. Jason, I think, legit hates us.
Maybe.
Because, like, even the first 10 minutes, he's like, what are you showing me?
And it's full of heavy-handed, stupid social commentary that's like... I'm not a fan of social commentary movies, usually. Sometimes it's warranted, and sometimes it's very tastefully done. But this one is just like, no. It's, like, so in your face about everything. It's like...
Like, what's some of the stuff they...
Like the $5 a gallon gas prices, all the global warming talk, such as seals.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Solar panels.
Oh, yeah, solar panels. Like, it's just so heavy-handed. I mean, it's just so stupid. And it's not done tastefully. Like, some movies, they use their social commentary in a humorous way if it's very heavy-handed. Like, if it's just so in your face. Like, I could think of Mean Girls as a way of doing that. There's, like, tons of social commentary in that, but it's supposed to be funny and in your face. But in this, it's supposed to be a very serious film. Like, it's not supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be very serious, very, like, real film. But it's just so crap. Like...
Well, and, like, there are parts of it where they're trying to talk business, and it's like, I don't think the writer understands how business works. Like, what was the one scene? After looking at our timesheets, we realized, you know, that this is a good deal or whatever. Like, it was something along those lines. I'm sitting there going...
50% discount.
Yeah, 50% discount.
$1 million.
Yeah, I just made I don't even remember...
$1 million sale after a 50% discount.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice round numbers there. Huh?
And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure the writers did not understand how business works. Because it just sounded like they're just...
He was everything. There are different names on the credits. They're literally just made up names so that it looked like more people worked on it. It was just him. It's just him and the actors. Like, no one else worked on the film. But he put other names as, like, the editors and the producers just to make it look like more people
Yeah, he clearly did not understand how some things work because he was just spouting things, making it sound intelligent.
It's just a very poorly made film. Like, it is... But it's hilarious how bad... Because it's just like... Oh my gosh, this is the worst thing. Like, I've seen high school productions with better acting and performance and production value.
Now, don't be dogging too much on high school actors. Some of them are legitimately good.
Alex's dad made better films. Now, they were supposed to be stupid. Like, they were supposed to be stupid, but they were also amazing. His dad's James Bond parody film is by far the greatest James Bond parody film I have ever seen.
That's funny.
Because it's so ridiculous, but it doesn't act like it's ridiculous, and that makes it even funnier. Like, everything about it is just so over-the-top James Bond, but no one acts like it's ridiculous. It's just, like, perfectly normal, and it's amazing. They also had amazing production value. They got onto Gallen Field.
Oh, really?
Local Air Force Base, they got onto it, and because they knew a member of... from the church that was like an officer in the Air Force out there. They let them get on the base, film them landing the plane, and then got the guy who was playing James to sit in the plane and step out of the plane. Can't do that today.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
Amazing production value.
That's awesome.
You can't get that today. I couldn't even get close to that base with a camera.
How long was the film that you made for your film class?
2 minutes.
Yeah, your 2-minute film was better than that entire Birdemic movie.
Because I speak English. And I understand the concepts of
See, and that's just it. There was no talking in that film. It was just me, Paul, and Shayla just walking around having fun, playing Frisbee.
Also,
that was better.
All those sound effects were recorded with my phone, by the way.
Oh, really?
The geese, the car horn honking, and
the honking of the geese.
Yeah, and the birds, like all that was recorded with my phone. Because I was gonna check out I was gonna check out a microphone, but it was closed. Long story. I had to record on my phone, very last minute.
That was good quality.
Yeah,
that was good quality sound.
Yeah, it was decent. It was low enough in the background that I didn't think it would be a big deal.
Did you show that to Mom and Dad, by the way?
I have not. Anyway, back to movies that we hate.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Birdemic is just such a... everything about it. Visual effects are garbage. Acting is garbage.
And here's where it's even more sad.
Lighting
this was made only 7 years ago. Yeah. And technology
has
been...
Well, it was completed 7 years. It was a 4-year filming process. Oh my god.
But even still, like... That would have been, what, 2008?
2008, 2012, yeah.
Yeah, see, there was much better CGI technology. Garbage. How is it that bad
It's just someone who doesn't know what he's doing trying to do something without actually learning to do it.
Yeah, just, that I think is definitely the worst, one of the more recent films we've seen that's just absolutely terrible for legit reasons.
Yeah. Second would be Manos. Manos for a while was considered the #1 worst film ever made until Birdemic.
Manos: Hands of Fate.
Manos: The Hands of Fate. Literally a film that every shot is 30 seconds or less because the camera can only film 30-second intervals and no sound. So every sound is recorded post-production.
Oh, that I did not know. That's even worse.
Yeah. And it has Torgo, the world's greatest character. Who's the drunk groundskeeper of... I actually don't know what Torgo's problem is.
Yes, that is very sarcastic.
I don't know if he's supposed to be, have some sort of mental deficiency or if he's supposed to be drunk the whole time. I honestly don't know what's wrong with Torgo. Or was it Torvo?
I think it was Torgo,
Torgo?
Maybe look it up.
Look it up.
See,
IMDb. Because it's on IMDb.
That's again another one that the only reason we saw this was because not Riff Tracks, but Mystery Science Theater 3000.
They have a riff of it. I want to see the riff just to see how.
Oh, they did redo it.
They did a live riff. Hello, rotate, please. Thank you. My phone's not.
Yeah, I would say some of the first ones we'll mention we've only seen because of Riff Tracks or either Mystery Science Theater.
1.9 on IMDb. Torgo. Okay, it's Torgo.
Okay, so it is with a G.
Hey, look at that. Worst film, best film.
Yep, there you go.
Right underneath the thing for Manos is a thing for Avengers. Like, hey,
1.9? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's abysmal. Well, it's because it sucks. And the few people who have seen it don't like it.
I've only seen it the one time, and it's for good reason. It was legit so boring, so terrible. There's literally a moment in the film where, nothing is happening. It's so quiet, and suddenly Joel, the host of MC3K, just shouts, "Do something!" And I was with him. There was literally nothing happening. It was so freaking boring.
Yeah, there's really no plot. I mean,
There's no plot to that movie at all.
It's just that Manos has a harem of wives, and that he wants the woman for it. And
granted, I feel like there was still more of a plot to Manos than there was for Birdemic.
Well, it takes about 45 minutes for the Birdemic to actually start.
Yeah.
The rest of the movie is very poor character establishment. Again, the heavy-handed social commentary, all the Al Gore inconvenient truth stuff, which I'm not making comments on.
That was a great movie, an inconvenient truth.
I'm not making fun of you if you are consider yourself a liberal person. Really, it's just the fact that this movie is so liberal that I think even liberals think it's ridiculous. They literally walk out of a movie theater and Rod, the main character, who is the blandest actor next to Hayden Christensen, is like, "That's a great movie, an inconvenient truth," and that's literally how he talks, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say solar panels. He says solar panels.
Solar panels.
Solar panels. Every time. Literally every time. That's the funniest part of the movie. Is every time he says it. Solar panels.
Solar panels.
Solar panels.
It's like he takes out the vowels.
Everything is... He's mumbling the whole movie. And I'm a mumbler, but even then I'm like...
we still can at least understand you sometimes.
Yeah. And the logic is, lacking. And we got back to Birdemic, but man, I guess we've seen Birdemic more than Manos. We've seen Manos
we've seen once.
Birdemic is like...
Birdemic we've only seen more than once because we've seen it with the riff, and it's funny. The riff is legit funny.
One of Maddie's roommates saw it without the riff.
Jana showed her roommates Birdemic without the riff.
Why would you do that?
I was like, Jana, you can't do that!
You lose IQ points watching.
Well, she was like, oh, my cousin showed me this. I'm like, your cousins are gonna think I'm an idiot! Because no, I would never watch this movie alone. By itself.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
See, and then the next one on our list is Pod People. Now, granted, it's a bad movie, but it's also still... It's still quite entertaining.
It's entertaining because it's so stupid.
Would you say that's one of it's so bad it's good?
I'd say it's. I mean, I think the Mystery Science Theater helps with that.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of has this little stupid charm to it because it doesn't make any sense.
You can do stupid
There's
things.
6 plots going on that are kind of half written.
But it's about this alien that's found by a young boy.
It looks like if Alf and an elephant had a baby.
Yeah, but if
y'all remember Alf.
The boy calls him Trumpy.
Trumpy. And he has the worst dubbing ever. Sounds like a 40-year-old woman trying to do a kid's voice.
I hate you, Trumpy.
Spoiler alert.
They were reading Romeo and Juliet in one of my freshman classes, and there was a boy who wanted to read for Juliet.
Oh, gosh.
But when he did it, he sounded exactly like Tommy. I'm in the back trying so hard not to laugh because I just wanted to turn to him and just say, "Can you say Trumpy for me just once?" Trumpy. Where are you, Trumpy?
It's so.
That's like a 10-year-old boy.
It's the 10-year-old boy has the worst voice ever. Like, it's such. It's got poachers.
Now we can play Trumpy.
It's got everything you want in a movie. It's got a little 10-year-old boy who
adopts a little alien.
There. It's got a house that's humongous apparently in the woods. It's got a singing group, a happening singing group.
Half of them die by the end of it.
It's got romantic tension. It's got poachers. It's got monsters. It's crap. Like,
it stinks.
It stinks. Wah,
wah, wah. Again, that was another MST3K.
You have to watch Mystery Science Theater with these movies, or Riff Tracks if it's a
that I think was the first one we ever saw.
I believe so. I believe it's the one that we saw that really got us started on the show. We might have. I kind of vaguely remember seeing some, or at least parts of some before.
I remember seeing some from
very vague.
I remember seeing some that Mom and Dad were watching. We happened to walk in on it.
Yeah, see, kind of that.
But that I think was the first official one that we actually sat down and watched.
Yeah.
But again, it's.
I remember Will. Will was like, how old's Will now? He's 14. Will was
I think he's actually 16.
Will was, what?
Yeah, he's 16.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Yeah, he's 16, bud. It's ridiculous.
But Will was I don't know, 7. Maybe a little older than that. We were watching it. He just stands up. He's like, "This is stupid." And then he left.
Yeah, I do remember that. It's like our wonderful autistic cousin.
Love Will. Will's just so funny because everyone realizes that's stupid, but we're making fun of it, so it's funny. But he's just like, "This is stupid." He just left. It was hilarious.
Yeah,
I forget how old he was. He was
I think he was about that young. Yeah.
That's because it was a while ago.
Oh yeah.
Because when we showed everyone Pod People. Now we show everyone Riff Tracks. This is before Riff Tracks even.
I mean,
we've been on Riff Tracks for a while now.
We have
How
been.
long
Yeah.
have we been on Riff Tracks?
I'm not even sure.
Since before Age of Ultron, man. It's been a while.
It's been a long time. And I mean, the acting is, I don't want to say terrible, but definitely not great. Quality's bad. It's bad, but it still it has a charm to it. It's entertaining. By itself, I don't know if I necessarily say it's as good, but again, the commentary is what helps make it even more fun.
I guess it's kind of one of those, it has a special place in our heart movies because
yes.
It really got us started on arguably some of the funniest moments.
Who was it we just recently showed it to? Was it Shayla or was it...
We just watched it with Paul.
I thought Shayla was there too.
Shayla was not there.
Oh.
When did the Avengers
I guess it was just Paul.
When did the Avengers riff come out?
Because that was one of the first riffs we saw was for the Avengers.
Yeah.
And that's the nice thing about Riff Track is they'll riff good movies too, and just some of them they do actually think are bad, which some of them aren't. But mostly it's just for entertainment's sake. Does it not say when it was released?
2012.
So maybe a little before then, I think.
We saw it. Yeah, this was released right before we really got, because this is the first riff we ever riffed.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, maybe it's been about seven years.
Well, it's 6 probably more accurately, but
holy moly, time flies, man! I'm telling you. So that's Pod People.
Look at how young Mark Ruffalo looks.
I know.
It's been the years, man. It's been a while.
It's one of those he doesn't look terrible.
No,
but
he
you
doesn't,
can definitely tell
aged.
he's aged.
Yeah, they all have. Especially you look at RDJ. Well, not Chris Evans. Chris Evans looks exactly the same. But
yeah, Chris Evans and RDJ basically look exactly the same.
I think it's because there's more I think RDJ does look different. If you look,
you can tell there's a little age, but he still looks good.
I think it's mostly in the facial hair and the hair has changed and become a little more uniform.
Yeah, Chris Evans hasn't aged a day.
I think it's because his has more physical demand. Exercise keeps you looking young.
The only time he looks different is when he has a beard.
That's why Hugh Jackman looks amazing.
Oh, yeah.
The only time he looks old is when they put him in makeup for the Wolverine. They had to look old. He had to look old.
Yeah, I saw a brief clip of Wolverine from the very first X-Men recently. He just popped up on a video and I went, he literally has not changed. He looks exactly the same.
Slightly. I like his look better these days. Well, you know the funny thing is, okay, I know we're getting off topic. You know what I love about superhero movies?
What?
Is that when you go back and look at the first few movies, there's something about their look that's different than it is now. But then after like 2 or 3 movies, it's the same look every time.
Pretty much.
I mean, the uniforms and the outfits may change, and that's one thing. But just like the look of the character, the way they, their hair is, and the way they hold.
I saw something from the first Iron Man, and he had like really shaggy hair.
I know, a very different hair, and then after
I didn't like it.
And then like the Avengers hit, and it was the same hair for them.
Yep, pretty much. Very
actually,
nice.
Actually, his hair was pretty much that in Iron Man 2, and then it was just like, all right, we're gonna keep this hair.
Yep. But I remember seeing something from Iron Man 1. It was like very shaggy, a little unkept, and I'm not talking like when he was in the cave. It was after, and I was kind of like. Dude, no, I don't like that look on you.
I know, it's just like... That's the thing I've noticed about superhero, because even Wolverine looks slightly different, especially with the hair in the side.
The hair was different.
Eventually around, like, X3, actually I think it was more around the Wolverine, when they're like, we're gonna dial it back,
Well, and that actually will take us to one of the other movies on our list, X2 and X3.
Yes.
Those were not good movies.
I used to really like the X-Men movies, and then I realized how boring they are.
And no, those are one of those, because when you're younger...
Here's another movie the movies we get out of this list, Fantastic Four and Spider-Man.
Yes.
I guess you haven't seen the original Spider-Man movies, but I have.
I saw the first one.
And I've seen all 3 of them, and by golly, I don't like them. If you like them, whatever. I can't stand Tobey Maguire, the stories. There's something I realized with the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and the Spider-Man movies. In the early 2000s, there seemed to be this thing. I think it was coming off of Batman and Robin, which was just so campy.
Oh, that's another one that needs to be on the list.
Yeah, which was just so campy and stupid and ridiculous that they're like, maybe we need to try a different approach to these superhero films, where they were then like, let's just make it all about superheroes talking about being superheroes. Because that's all they do, really. Like, Spider-Man it's all about him and MJ. It's not about him being Spider-Man. It's about him and MJ. It's not even like a balance of the Spider-Man and the MJ, because that looks like what Far From Home is going to give us. It's a balance between the Spider-Man and the MJ. But it was just mostly about MJ, and MJ was terrible to him. I'm like, why do you even like her? One, she's not that good looking. Second, she's not that good to you, Peter. Move on. Be Spider-Man. Stop crying and complaining about life. Go be Spider-Man.
And really, Tobey Maguire's never been a great actor, in my opinion, anyway.
Cats and Dogs.
Who is he in Cats and Dogs?
He's Lou.
What? He's Lou?
He's Lou.
I never knew that.
And Alec Baldwin is...
okay, I remember Alec Baldwin. Okay, I'll give it that.
He's a voice actor in that one. But even then, his voice is crap.
Voice acting can sometimes redeem an actor, in my opinion, because you don't have to see them.
Yeah, he doesn't have a good face. I don't like his face.
No. But, I had to watch the Great Gatsby movie earlier this year when they were reading Gatsby at work. No. Just no. He was awful. And DiCaprio's never been a great actor, in my opinion, either. So him and DiCaprio both in that movie, I'm just like, ugh.
See, the funny thing is, I don't consider Tobey Maguire much of a good-looking individual, and he's kind of got a punchable face. Andrew Garfield was too good-looking to be Peter Parker. Andrew Garfield's a good-looking dude.
He's good-looking.
Then again, I guess the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man's pretty good-looking, too. Even for an animated character, but it's mocap, so it still counts.
See, and here's what's also funny. The very first Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, then you had Andrew Garfield, then we got Tom Holland.
2 of the 3 are Brits.
Yeah, I was going to say, 2 of the 3 are Brits.
And
I think they realized you can't get an American kid.
But he's one of the most American characters. Yeah. But it's also funny, because Superman is also one of the quintessential American characters, and who played him? A Brit.
Same with Batman. He was played by Christian Bale, who's a Brit.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he's a Brit.
Yeah, but he was the best Batman.
Well,
no, second best Batman. Will Arnett is the best Batman. Especially after Lego Movie 2. Will Arnett.
Yeah, okay, I'll give it that. But I mean, the ones that play these characters well are not American, and they play the most American people.
We can't cast an American to play Doctor Who, otherwise the world will freaking erupt.
We as Americans suck.
We just don't have good actors.
We suck at being American.
No, an Australian plays he plays a Canadian X-Men.
Yeah.
Because Wolverine's technically
Yes, I keep forgetting he's technically Canadian.
Wolverine is technically American. He was...
Would you say that was kind of a retcon, really?
X-Men Origins put him in America when he was born. He was probably a citizen of Canada long after the Vietnam War and all that, but still.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the X-Men and all that stuff we were talking about.
They're just so boring. It's all about talking about being superheroes instead of actually... We riffed the second Fantastic Four movie. There's one action sequence in the whole film. 1.5 if you count one where they push the London Eye back into place as it's
And it wasn't good action?
No, it's so boring and stupid and long.
See, because you have that, and then you have like Endgame. This was the problem that some people have with Endgame. There's only one action
but at least
scene.
it was interesting.
And there was a build up to it.
There was intrigue. I mean, it also does have to do with the fact that the acting is not that great in the Fantastic Four, even though Chris Evans is in it, but it's just the character he's playing.
I know, it's kind of like Chris Evans. I never knew you used to be a bad actor.
Could be a director, honestly. We've learned from episodes 1, 2, and 3 that the director is very important.
But even still, you can have a bad director and equally bad I can't talk.
But I mean, and it's just not a well-made film. Endgame was well made.
Well, again, there's been years of build-up to all these characters coming together.
And the reason why they got away with that is because of what they left us off on. With the snap.
Yeah.
And with the immediate death of Thanos. We all knew going into this movie it wasn't going to be a heavy action movie.
No.
But even then, there was entertaining parts of it.
But that's just it. Everyone's comparing it to Infinity War, where there's a lot of action throughout, and I'm like, but that's just it. It's a totally different movie. You can't compare it to that. It's an unfair comparison. I know,
and but the thing is, I think that's done because we all knew going into Endgame that this wasn't going to be an action movie.
No.
In the context of the rest of the MCU, where there's easily 1 to 2 action sequences per act of film, if not more, usually more. We already knew that, because Infinity War was jam-packed with it. It was great.
I think the fans were spoiled with a lot of action in Infinity War, and then when they didn't get as much in Endgame, they're like, what? What is this?
I feel that could be true, but the thing is, I didn't feel bored at all. There were some moments where I was like, man, this movie hasn't had a lot of action in it, but I was never bored with it.
No.
Because it at least kept you laughing if it was kind of slow, or it kept you invested in the characters, like with the introduction of Morgan Stark and Tony's new life, and it kept you invested in ways. So
Anyway, we're on the subject of great movies. We need to get back to worst movies.
I think this is great because we're giving reasons why. Like again, old X-Men and Fantastic Four, it wasn't interesting. Now I will give this to the X-Men movies. Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen.
Yeah, those two and Hugh Jackman are really the only good parts about those movies.
Yeah. Stewart and McKellen are the Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston of the X-Men. Because literally Thor Ragnarok is a masterpiece. It's one of the greatest MCU films ever made.
Yep.
But the first 2 Thor movies, really the only scenes worth watching are the ones with Thor and Loki.
Yep.
Especially in Thor 2. Like, the rest of the movies, whatever. But
the rest of the movie is like, I don't care.
Like, the scene with Thor and Loki on the skiff on Svartalfheim, when they're talking about Frigga, it's honestly the best scene of the film.
Oh, yeah. It's dynamic and powerful.
It is a powerful scene, and it's just those two. Them being great at what they do.
Well, and they're being brothers.
Yeah. One who, have tried to kill each other on several occasions.
Exactly.
It's me.
There's a bit of a wall there.
Yeah.
There's a wall
But still,
there.
it's just the power of them as actors. It's just like, this is the greatest scene of the film, and nothing's happening.
It's literally just them on a skiff talking. And slightly arguing, but I mean, that's all it is.
But I feel like it was just the best scene of the film. Mostly because the film's kind of meh, in my opinion. Plus, I hate Natalie Portman. So.
See, that's just it. Sometimes the most powerful scene in a movie can be just people talking.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be something with a big,
yeah, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. Big action or whatever.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what other movies we have on the list. We got Batman vs.
Superman. Oh my gosh.
Now, we've seen this movie. We're not big DC fans. I also saw Aquaman, and while I was entertained, I was not all impressed with it. I didn't hate it.
I haven't seen it yet,
didn't
so
make
I
it
have
onto
no
this
opinion.
list, honestly. It was entertaining. I think Shazam was better.
Oh, yes.
So did the box office numbers. I think, anyway. Actually, no, I don't know anymore. Because they made more in the first pre-showings, but I'm not sure about now.
I honestly can't say.
Wonder Woman, of course, reigns supreme over this entire expanded universe. But Batman vs. Superman, I have no clue what was going on.
Nope.
I didn't care what was going on.
I usually can follow movies pretty easily.
It really just felt like them kind of just throwing scenes together and trying to call it a movie.
It's like something happening is one scene, then suddenly we're somewhere else, a whole new situation is happening, and suddenly Batman and Superman are fighting.
And there's this subplot with Lois Lane that didn't make any sense whatsoever.
Plus, it's Amy Adams. I hate Amy Adams. She's a terrible actress.
Yeah, I can't stand. She's another one of those actresses I'm like, I don't get you. Why you keep acting? Because you're not good.
But literally, there was no plot. The editing was so terrible and
One
all
scene
over
was
the
so
place.
freaking dark, you couldn't see anything. Literally, couldn't see it. It's like, what the heck's going on?
It was the Battle of Winterfell episode of Game
guess.
of Thrones. You
I
can't
guess.
see a dang thing.
And plus, I don't know. It's just like there was no explanation for characters. There wasn't really a good.
I saw no build up as to why they suddenly hated each other. I was like, why are they suddenly fighting? I didn't see what happened.
It had to do with Superman breaking Bruce Wayne's building. Like, that was basically it.
And then
And
the
of
reason
course,
they make up,
and of course, re-showing the death of Thomas and Martha Wayne.
we all know what happened.
I'm like, the funny thing is, what I love about when Marvel brought Spider-Man back into the MCU, they literally said, we're not going to do the whole Uncle Ben thing.
Yeah, they're not hashing out the Uncle Ben.
Because everyone knows it. I'm like, Spider-Man is before the MCU, was by far Marvel's most popular superhero.
Oh yeah,
Like,
because it was
no
Stan
one
Lee's
knew.
favorite character.
Well, not just that, because Spider-Man was just the most iconic. He did have his standalone films early in the 2000s, but everyone just kind of knew Spider-Man, you know? He's just kind of one of those ones that kids know, you know? You didn't know about Iron Man. You probably heard vaguely of Captain America, but if you had asked anyone who Star-Lord was back in 2001...
Who?
Exactly.
Who?
Or Groot.
Star-Lord,
If
man.
you told them about the freaking Guardians of the Galaxy, you know? People would be like, why is a raccoon in a tree? Like...
Well, that was us when we first heard about it. We're like, what is
Exactly.
this?
But it's just one of those things of like, you know what? So Spider-Man, so they were like, everyone knows the whole Uncle Ben thing. We don't need to show the Uncle Ben thing. And then the first thing that DC does when they reintroduce Ben Affleck's Batman, we got to show Thomas and Martha Wayne getting shot, even though...
I'm like, you already did that with Dark Knight.
We did that with Dark Knight. We did it with Gotham. We did it with every single Batman animated series. I think they did it once per Batman live-action movie until Batman Beyond, or until Batman and Robin, excuse me. Like, showed it every freaking...
It's like, we know
We
how
know
they
Thomas and Martha Wayne
died.
get shot, and the stupidest part of the whole film was the whole Martha bit.
Martha.
What I love is the difference, especially... Civil War almost feels, of course there's no possible way they would have been this, but I also feel like Civil War is kind of a middle finger to Batman versus Superman, because Batman and Superman made up over the fact that their moms have the same name, and Civil War broke apart because of Tony's mom, so...
Oh, yeah.
Because Bucky killed his mom.
I know, but I'm saying, like, wait, what did his mom have to do with it? Oh, yeah, that's right.
She died.
Yeah.
She got murdered.
Yep.
Strangled to death by Bucky. So it was just like, it's so dumb. It made no sense, and it was so ridiculous. And you didn't care.
I literally did not
with
care.
With Civil War, you cared. One, because also, it was kind of this moral, almost ambiguous, because there are some people who legit think Iron Man's right, and there are some people who legit think Captain America's in the right. And so it's one of those that's like, it didn't really split the fandom. Not like some movies do. But it was just one of those that's like, you know, it's kind of, you could see both directions. And so it's tough. You don't want.
You can sympathize with both sides.
And you like both characters, so you don't want to. You feel bad rooting for one over the other, and you don't like watching them fight each other.
That's why I never chose a side.
Even though it makes for amazing cinema. Some
that
beautiful fights.
movie still breaks my heart, no matter how many times I watch it. I'm just like, stop fighting.
I know, but in Batman vs Superman, you didn't care why, and it just was like. And then Doomsday came along, and he looked like garbage, and. The only good thing about that movie is that it gave us Wonder Woman. This is the only good thing that movie did.
You have yet another Batman,
and
another Superman. Now, granted, he'd had another movie or two before them, but it's like
we haven't had enough time to know the character.
There's no emotional connection like there was with Civil War. So you're kind of like, I don't really care. It's just another Batman.
And it's also really dumb how quickly Batman's perspective of Superman changed.
Oh, yeah. It was like suddenly the drop of a hat.
Quickly. Not even over the Martha thing, because after Superman dies, spoiler alert, if that's even worth saying anymore, because he's back, he was like, oh, he sacrificed himself. I am now inspired to form a team of a League of Justice. Like, why? You hated the dude. Like, I can understand.
And that was also a bad movie.
I know, Justice League was...
Although, granted, I haven't seen that one yet, but I had no interest.
Yeah, don't even waste your time.
It put our mom to sleep, and she doesn't sleep much through movies.
Aquaman didn't put her to sleep.
I know. Justice League did.
DC, except for Shazam and Wonder Woman. Well, Wonder Woman less so, because it wasn't as much comedy. But it seems with, especially Aquaman, there were times, like with Aquaman and Justice League and Aquaman, there were times when pretty sure I was supposed to laugh, or I didn't think it was funny. And there were times when I wasn't supposed to laugh that I did.
And it's funny because Jason Momoa is a pretty funny guy.
He's a funny dude, but it's just like there was moments, probably just the writing, I don't know, like, I don't find that funny. There was a couple moments that I did find funny that were supposed to be funny, but there were others I'm like, that really wasn't that funny. I don't
And
know.
didn't Mom say, I think we laughed in places we weren't really supposed to laugh?
Yeah, mostly the soundtrack. Because every time Ocean Master's on screen, it goes dun dun dun.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Literally every 5 seconds, we're like, the soundtrack is literally dun dun dying right now.
I mean,
Literally.
frankly, overall,
Infinity War did that once. Only once, though.
but it was a legit, like, dun dun dun
It's
moment.
like his music theme. Yeah, it was a dun dun dun.
I felt the one in Infinity War was warranted.
I feel
Because
like that
Thanos
was
slammed the
awesome.
Hulk into the ground.
Yeah, he did. He beat the crap out of the Hulk.
He hulked the Hulk.
Yeah, he beat him the crap out of him, slammed him in the ground.
And you're kind of like, oh crap.
I remember that was pretty much the first moment in Infinity where you're like, well, this movie's gonna be legit. He just beat the crap out of the Hulk.
It's gonna legit suck.
He just beat the crap out of the Hulk with nothing, with his hands and a glove. He didn't use any of the stones. He only had the one stone. But
I was
he didn't
saying the
use
Hulk's the one that smashes everybody in the ground. Then the Hulk gets smashed by this guy.
it. I know. It's
And you're like, okay,
yeah.
this guy means business.
yeah, that was the best moment. I feel like that's an incredible character introduction for Thanos because it shows
Dun,
just
dun,
how good he is,
dun.
especially because he's been sitting on a chair for the last 10 years.
I can't get out of this chair. It's not my time. Infinity War.
are asleep.
Yeah, no, frankly, I think DC just needs to stop.
I think DC needs to make smarter decisions because Wonder Woman was amazing.
Yeah.
It proves, and Shazam was hilarious, but still a DC film. It wasn't
Didn't
entirely.
you basically say it's just been Zack Snyder?
I just hate Zack Snyder mostly because of his inability to make movies, but he thinks he's amazing, and he thinks that DC superheroes should be the most unrelatable characters ever. That's legit how he thinks. He thinks that the superheroes of good and truth and justice are unrelatable or not unrelatable. That it's just a fairy world.
Oh gosh.
And he was swearing the whole time. I'm like, you just shut up. He's so full of himself. He thinks he's the greatest character.
Yeah, I don't care. We're gonna move on. Because Morgan does need to go here pretty soon, so it's gonna be a shorter episode.
Yeah, this will probably be shorter. We'll cut some things off our list. Here's one I was repeatedly told you need to see. It's a wonderful film, and I don't understand the hype after seeing it. Titanic. I do not understand the hype behind this movie.
I think we've also mentioned this one before.
We probably have.
We
I have a
are
coworker
not-
who that's like one of her favorite movies. She just recently got the pop dolls from Titanic, and she's like, "Oh, it's just such a great movie, and I love the romance." I'm like, "What romance?" It's ugh. Like half of the second act is just Leonardo DiCaprio and what's her face?
I don't know. I don't care.
I knew her name at one point. And now it's going to bug me. Anyway, just Jack and Rose around going, Jack! Rose! Jack! Rose! That's annoying. So annoying.
Yeah.
It's not even that great of a romantic film. I'm a hopeless romantic. I love romantic movies. I felt nothing for this movie. At all.
Yeah.
And I'm just... I didn't get it.
We're just not, James Cameron people. His movies are too long and too just incoherent and
Avatar is also on our list.
And over-bloated. Everyone hails, and I know they made a crap ton of money, which is why I'm glad Avengers broke the records, because everyone thinks they're so amazing and that they're just quality films. I'm like, Avatar was beautiful in 3D in the theaters. I'm not gonna lie.
The effects are great.
It was like gorgeous. Like the 3D, it was like really a pioneer of the 3D tech, and it just looked great. And then you watch it afterwards, and you're like, wow, this story is just Pocahontas. It's long, it's boring. Sam Worthington is barely pulling his own weight. Zoe Saldana's great. She's great in everything.
Yeah, she did great.
She deserves to be worth more money, to be perfectly honest. She's in 3 major blockbuster franchises that made a crap ton of money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she should be worth more. Plus, she's just great. But I'm like, the rest of the movie's just boring and long, and it's the same story. We've heard this story 1,000 times.
And Paul likes the movie, but I'm just like,
We can't
honey,
stand it. Same
honey,
with
no.
Titanic. It's like overbloated. It's dumb. Leonardo DiCaprio looks like he's 12 years old. And that's just probably a result of the fact that he just looks young. But
Yeah,
still,
he's like us.
you
He
can't
looks
take
young.
him. You can't take him seriously as this guy in the movie. It's like
Nope.
he also sounds like he's 12. We've got a bunch of movies on this list. Twilight, we're not even
Ugh.
so bad.
I
Everything about
don't
it.
understand how people
We
I
have
know
we
legit.
have a very rough history with the books and movie series of Twilight. We despise their very existence, and
I read like the first 3 books when they were first coming out, and I liked them a little bit, but then I got to like the 3rd one, I was like, Okay, it's literally the same thing over and over again. They're making out every 2 pages. Bella's trying to get his clothes off. He says, "No, we can't do this. We can't be together." And then she's trying to kill herself, and all this. Oh yeah, and vampires are after her now.
And the movies.
Ugh.
I mean,
They picked the worst 2 leads.
it's the
ever.
blandest cinematography I've ever seen.
Line.
It's the fact that she always looks like she's ready to vomit. Robert Pattinson looks like he doesn't want to be there, which he doesn't.
Which he didn't.
No one hates Edward more than Robert Pattinson.
Yep.
Well, and the fact that they're paler than the entire cast of Harry Potter, which is funny because Robert Pattinson was in Harry Potter.
But they're supposed to look that way because they're vampires. But
she's not. She came from Arizona. Do you remember at the beginning of the first movie? She came back from Arizona.
Yeah, she came from Arizona.
And she was pale as a ghost.
I'm like, honey, you look like you just came from, like, Canada.
Or from England, you know?
Yeah, from England. But not only did she look like she wanted to puke half the time, she also looked, like, confused and lost. Like, if she suddenly wandered on set and went, where am I supposed to be?
And the acting is just terrible. The visual effects are not good.
And when there's times when they're supposed to be, like, intense staring or, like, just looking deep into their eyes, they look like...
It's the same.
What?
I know,
They just look like we're told to stare at each other, but I don't know why.
And it is literally the definition of a very... It's one of those after-school specials that's just like, wow, these kids don't know how to act.
Even Riff Tracks couldn't save that movie for us. We thought, it's one of the best-rated riffs on their website, but even we watched it and went, that wasn't that
mostly
funny.
we have this burning, passionate hatred for it, so...
But, like,
a reason why is because it's so big and everyone loves it and thinks... Well, I guess it's less so. People talk about it less today. I think we should just let go of our hate. The Star Wars prequels, we'll talk about that.
I think we voiced our hatred for that many times.
Yeah, it's true. We've talked about our hatred.
The Star Wars prequels, I will never understand.
George Lucas, to this day, believes that one day people are going to really understand why the prequels are amazing. And the internet claims to, but the internet just loves how memeable Revenge of the Sith is.
That's the only reason that
just
they like
Revenge
them.
of the Sith. It's just Revenge of the Sith, yet they ascribe it to the entire prequel trilogy. I'm like, no, the Revenge of the Sith is the most bearable of all of the prequels. But they love the Revenge of the Sith so much, they think the entire prequel trilogy is amazing. I'm like, no. Revenge of the Sith is the least worst. The best of the Star Wars prequels. But that's also, as Riff Track says, like saying that was the best time I got kicked in the nuts by my nephew. Like...
I forgot that. I'm sorry.
Like... Comparable, yeah, it is the best. It's got some good action. It's got some, but honestly, that's all it is. Just the action. Like
that's all that any of the prequels have going for them. Everything else is crap.
The lightsaber fights and sometimes the visuals. Like the visuals in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith look fun.
Well, maybe the space fights.
Space fights, they're great.
Yeah, the space fights are good.
That's why Revenge of the Sith is great because the space fights are cool. Like they're huge.
Everything else is just utter crap.
That first space fight over Coruscant's like huge. It's like stuff going on. It's like wow, this is freaking huge.
Yeah, that was cool.
Everything else is like, no. The acting, the dialogue.
I don't agree with anybody who likes them.
Some of the visual effects aren't good, especially in Phantom Menace. The characters that are just ethnic stereotypes are just like, yeah, great job, Lucas.
Yeah, great.
Everything about it is just... The only thing that's good about it is John Williams' score. John Williams is trying so hard.
And Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor, too. John Williams is trying so hard that the entire...
He's trying to save these movies.
In every Star Wars video game, especially like the Battlefront series, the music that plays most of the time for battles is from the prequels. Yeah. Honestly, the best battle music comes from the prequels. I'm not gonna lie about that. John Williams wrote amazing scores for the prequel trilogy. You could argue probably some of the best scores that Star Wars has seen in a very long time. I love the sequel trilogy music, but there is something more iconic about the battle music and everything else.
Like Duel of the Fates.
Duel of the Fates.
Duel of the Fates is amazing.
And I'm hoping that John Williams writes an amazing Oscar-winning piece for Rise of Skywalker, because we haven't had one for the sequel trilogy yet.
Nope.
I'm not gonna lie, the score is amazing, but there are some moments where I'm like, John, I know you're trying to get me to feel something,
But it's not happening.
Like when young Anakin leaves his mom, it's like, I know you're trying to make me feel sad, and the music is beautiful in that moment. It's honestly a beautiful moment of music. The music is so beautiful, but the rest, I'm like, I don't feel... Pernilla August is like, you know what, I feel like you're out of place. I feel like you're a quality actor in this crappy movie. Mm-hmm. Same with Liam Neeson. It's like, what are you doing here, man?
So yeah, you're all aware of our...
Amongst the crappy acting of Jake Lloyd and the horrible writing of Jar Jar Binks and Natalie Portman in the midst of it, it's like, what are you doing here, Liam?
Yeah,
You're a respected actor.
Liam and Ewan, why are you here?
And Sam L. Jackson, even he doesn't pull his weight. I don't know why they didn't.
Ray Park, though, was good.
Ray Park didn't have any lines.
I know, but he still...
I guess he spoke lines, they just dubbed it over. But.
Ray Park had no lines, and yet he did much better acting than Hayden Christensen in 2 movies.
He didn't have to do much, but yeah.
That's just it.
Yeah, because he did all his own stunts.
He was just a presence. He was a presence.
Maul did have a presence, yeah.
Yep. I mean, you're all aware of our hatred for the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
We won't continue on that. Avatar: The Last Airbender.
That's more for her. It's just a bad movie.
It is an overall bad movie. You cannot bring this up to my husband, or else...
No, he gets mad.
He gets very mad.
I've seen parts of the original show. It's a good show.
But even then, you can agree. It ruins.
It's just a bad film, yeah, for one. I think I don't understand it as much because I know there's a whole... Of course, there's just tons they cut out.
Yeah.
I
don't think they even touched anything in the part of the show that you haven't seen. I think they mostly stuck to book one.
And there, of course, I know they were planning for sequels and all that stuff, but... But yeah, I know there's like entire sections that they cut out.
Yeah, if you want... Oh my gosh.
Didn't they cut Toph entirely?
They cut Toph entirely.
Because I remember they went to their Earth tribe.
The Earthbenders, yeah.
Earthbenders. I know they went there.
She is a great character.
And they cut her.
And they cut her out.
And they ruined
Sokka was boring, even though he was the comic relief.
I know, Sokka wasn't even Sokka. Sokka was a completely
Sokka was my favorite
different
character, and I did not enjoy him at all.
They couldn't decide on the pronunciation of the word avatar.
Was it the Avatar?
Avatar.
Ong. Ugh.
I know that's just accents, but still, you can get around that.
Like, if it's pronounced a certain way in the show, pronounce it that way in the movie. It's been given to you.
And the bending...
The bending
acrobatics was just over the top and ridiculous. They changed some of the lore, like how you can't...
Zuko wasn't interesting at all.
Zuko, who is considered the best of all of the
Iroh, who is a beloved fan favorite character whom I adore, was not interesting at all.
Who played Iroh? Like, they make a Cheech and Chong joke with him. I'm like, is it actually Chong?
It might...
I don't think it's Tommy Chong, but it might be.
I don't think so.
Let me check.
I think it was just the way that he looked, maybe.
This is another one they riffed. A lot of these are ones they've riffed.
But I adore Uncle Iroh in the show. I love him so much.
Don't forget that they are making a Netflix series of it.
Which I really hope they don't screw up. I really hope they don't screw that up. Because if they do, I'm going...
Okay, it's not Chong.
It's not Chong,
I just wanted to be sure. Oh, it's Yinsen.
It's Yinsen?
Yeah, Iroh was Yinsen.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He still didn't pull his weight.
No.
He's certainly not the Iroh we all know. Because even I like Iroh. I haven't even seen much of the show.
I love Iroh, but they ruined him so bad. But yeah, that's more kind of on my part because I've seen the whole show.
Nothing was true to any of the characters type thing.
Nope.
And that's just nope.
I mean,
and it was just a bad film.
Even like the costume design tribe even was, you look at him and go, no.
And then Asif Manvi, who I couldn't take seriously at all.
Asif Manvi.
Mostly because I knew what he was from. Even Riff Tracks makes a joke about that.
Yeah,
that he's the Daily Show's, no, I'm a serious actor cast. Like,
nope.
I'm like, you're supposed to be this general dude who isn't the character of the show, like this really big dude, like this really serious dude.
Another terrible movie adaptation, Eragon.
I never read.
We haven't read the books, but even then, it's still a bad film in and of itself.
I can read Lord of the Rings, and I was bored with Eragon.
I started reading it, and then I
couldn't
lost
get
the
it
book.
past chapter 1. I was so confused and so bored. Like, yeah, screw it. Can't read.
I know Paul keeps telling me you really got to read the books. I'm kind of like, I don't know, maybe I don't know.
It's also just not a great movie.
But that's also another one that we watched a lot growing up.
Yes. It's because Saphira looked good.
Yeah.
She visually looked good. But the story, of course, is just a rip-off of Lord of the Rings and Star Wars simultaneously.
Yep. I know, when they... In the riff, we counted, 14 Lord of the Rings jokes, 14 Star Wars jokes.
I mean, Legend of the Seeker, we could argue, is the exact same thing.
That is also true.
The uncle, Lord... Actually, not the uncle. He was a dog. Was the uncle in the show? I don't remember.
No, I think it was actually his father.
No, not his father. They established his father was...
yeah, never mind. Yeah. I totally forgot.
I think it was the uncle. Either the adopted.
But I mean, that was...
No, he thought it was his father.
Yeah. No, that was another one where, growing up, it looked cool. It was kind of like Lord of the Rings. We enjoyed it, but then when you got older, you're like, man, this film actually sucks.
But then we also found out from angry fans that they took a lot out of the book.
They couldn't. They didn't even really set up the sequel. Like they were like, there's so much that came to play in the sequel that they didn't even set up in the first.
That's
Kinda
another.
oh, here's another one. Percy Jackson and the Olympians.
Oh my gosh.
One of my least favorite because when I first saw it, I was like, this is pretty cool. But then I was like, wait a second, I like the books. This is nothing like the book. This
sucks.
They left out entire villains. They had to shoehorn in the first half hour. I totally called it too. For years, I'm like, if they release Sea of Monsters, the first half hour of the movie is going to be them shoehorning in characters and plot lines they forgot to introduce into the first one because they're pretty darn fundamental to the entire series, like the character of Kronos, Ares, which they still didn't introduce, Clarice, the prophecy itself, and Mr. D, not Mr. T.
I pity the fool.
Which it's the very first thing that second movie did.
Yep.
Shoehorning in the first half
They tried
hour.
so hard to redeem themselves, and it made it worse.
And it still didn't work. And it was like, what are you doing? We watched it, like, Redboxed it, just to see if they could redeem themselves. And I was like, screw this, man.
Yeah, screw this, man.
It did so poorly. The first one left out so much. And Uma Thurman is possessed.
I will say, though, I did like Grover.
I like Black Grover.
I loved Grover.
I liked Stanley Tucci as Mr. D. I thought he was perfect.
I forget Stanley Tucci as Mr. D. I've only seen Sea of Monsters once.
So have I, but I remember, like, I also love Nathan Fillion as Hermes because they made a Firefly joke. And Nathan Fillion is just a delightful actor.
See, but like back to Aragon, that's another one you can't bring up around Paul because he loved the books and he's like, that movie destroyed everything.
I think Netflix.
Brent's the same way, isn't he?
Oh yeah, we riffed Aragon with Brent, my friend Brent, and he was just. And he loves Riff Tracks.
He was grimacing the whole time.
He was just scowling at this movie. Just, like, so angry with it. It was hilarious. He didn't laugh once. It was so funny.
I know, the only way that we got Paul to watch the Riffs was if I guilted him. I think one of them was, like, for my birthday or something. I was like, can we watch this? And he's like, fine.
It was, yeah. But yeah, we have the... maybe, I think Netflix just needs to take it upon themselves to try to correct the sins of the past by doing Netflix series of all these beloved film books or TV shows that were made into crappy films, like they're doing Avatar there. Because I just looked IMDb. If you look up Avatar: The Last Airbender, first thing is the anime. Second one is the unreleased show, and then the movie.
I'm really hoping that they don't screw it up.
I think everyone is at this point, but they should do the same with Aragon. Like,
but I mean, it's with the same writers that wrote the actual show, so I'm like, okay, hopefully they can't steer them too wrong.
It was also kind of funny. It seems that Game of Thrones currently, this is a little off topic, is going under that thing of the final season being everyone's least favorite. People are saying it's
people
rushed,
I know
it's
are
ridiculous.
angry.
It's interesting. Like, why is that the trend with shows? Like, there's some shows that end perfectly. They just have this amazing final season.
There's a petition online to get them to actually reshoot the entire season.
They're not.
And I'm like, they're not gonna do that, people.
That's way too much money, and they've already done it. They're not gonna do it.
The actors have all said their goodbyes to their character. They come to peace with it. They have closure.
Apparently
They're not gonna
Daenerys
go
did
back.
something in this last episode that made everyone
Oh
angry.
yeah, she set a town on fire.
Oh, nice.
It was clear, if I remember correctly, it was clear that they had won. The surrender bells were ringing, and she just went, nope, and set the place on fire.
Because I remember I saw a meme with that, like, little nervous Muppet dude.
You know, he's like...
Oh.
Yeah. I saw it was like every...
I saw stuff on Tumblr, I
well,
figured it out.
after that, I was like, I saw a thing, because it was that meme that said every parent who named their kid Daenerys.
Oh yeah, and they're like, crap.
Or Khaleesi.
Yeah, Khaleesi.
I know, I was like, I didn't know what
Well,
happened.
and my friend Mona, she was the biggest Daenerys fan ever, and this season has ruined her for her. Like, she flat out hates her now.
I don't know what it is.
And
There's
that's
this
how I
thing-
knew how I knew
Again,
what
some
happened.
TV shows have amazing... Honestly, I hope the final season of the Clone Wars is like
Well,
the
see, and-
defining season of the
Well,
Clone
see, and then
Wars.
here's the thing. The writers of Game of Thrones, who everyone hates right now for what they're doing to the season, they're writing, like, one of the next upcoming Star Wars movies. And after hearing what's been going on with Game of Thrones, I'm like, I'm afraid they're gonna ruin Star Wars. Because they're ruining their own show. That everyone loves loved at this rate.
Not everyone.
Yeah, no. A lot of people hate that.
There's a funny thing. I think Game of Thrones is one that people, like, has watched every episode or no episodes.
Pretty much.
Like, I haven't really known anyone who just, I watched, like, the first season, but then didn't keep going. It's one of those, like, you've either watched every episode or you've never watched any of it.
Well, and even the people that hate the current season are still watching.
I think it's also kind of one of those that they're holding out for hope that maybe it's going to end
Maybe it'll get
on
better, and there's still something in them that just goes, I gotta see this through, I gotta know how it ends.
Yeah.
I've been through this for 6 seasons, I gotta know. Or 7 seasons, I don't know.
But I don't know, it's funny because some TV shows have amazing final seasons. Others, It's more of a trend that they just have crap. Like the final season of How I Met Your Mother, I know everyone hated, especially the final episode.
Well, I think
Lost is infamous. For
I don't
this.
know if it was the whole season or if it was just the finale.
Yeah, the finale mostly. I know.
It's mostly the finale people hate, which is the finale for Game of Thrones coming up this weekend.
Oh, good.
So now I'm kind of like,
good. We can stop hearing.
I'm
about
kind of
it.
like, okay, how many angry reactions am I going to see from my friends on Facebook and Tumblr? Yes. Oh boy.
Well, we should probably wrap this episode up so you can get going because you got to get to.
Really quick though, there's one more film I at least want to bring up. This was another one that we watched a lot growing up. Thought it was great. Realized it's terrible as we got older. Van Helsing.
Oh yeah, Van Helsing.
Not even Hugh Jackman could save that film, and even David Wenham, who I really like. Our mom is a big Hugh Jackman fan, and she was like, not even Hugh Jackman could do it for me in that film. Austin and his friends have said that one day they're going to take over riff tracks, or at least they hope to, and they're like, our first thing we're going to do is we're going to riff Van Helsing. They full on riffed it at our house. They got together one night and just riffed it themselves.
Yep, it was fun. We had a lot of fun with that.
It's another one, like, it's not a terrible film, but it's also one where you're kind of like...
It's bad. No, it's bad.
It's like, how did we ever enjoy
Hugh Jackman pulls his weight.
He does what he can.
Did. David Wenham is at least kind of funny.
Yeah, he provides
Kate
some comic
Beckinsale
relief.
and everyone else in that film just has the horriblest accents.
Oh my gosh,
it's just the worst sounding accents ever. You don't even know what accent they're trying to do.
Dracula. No.
Dracula.
Yeah, no, I don't even know where to begin with that one. It's overall just bad. The only reason I continued... Oh my gosh, yes. The only reason I pretty much continued to ever watch that was pretty much just for Hugh Jackman, and even then I'm like, you tried, man. You really tried. Yeah, acting is terrible on pretty much everyone's parts, but his, and he again tried. That I think is one where it was bad writing, and the actor just tried, but it came down to the writing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He tried so bad. He tried so hard. Anyway, there's a couple other ones on our list that were kind of like, yeah, we don't really need to mention them. But we'll probably wrap this up. Again, this is just our opinion. We feel pretty justified in our opinions. We
give our reasons.
Yeah, we gave our reasons for pretty much most of them. And some of them, like I said, seem justifiable. If you don't agree, that's obviously your opinion. Feel free to voice your opinion in the comments on our video or our Facebook post. Keep it civil, keep it nice. If there's anything rude, we will delete it and not respond. And do not harass us by continually posting things like that. Because I've had that happen to me before on some things. Where I delete a comment and then it's continually reposted.
Just gotta ignore them.
Yeah, don't do that. Or you can email us, forcecast327@gmail.com. We'd appreciate your civil feedback. Any last comments, Austin, before we wrap it up?
Not for me.
Alright then. This has been your local Forcecast. That's all we've got for you this week. We'll see you next time. May the Force be with you.